Let's talk about designing systems. So I've been so pleased with myself in this system that I've been designing over the last several weeks. It's got multiple people doing this, and they pass it on to that person who does that, and pass it on to the next person who does something else. In the end, I get this great thing as a result. But I realized the other day that I left something out of the design process that's a really key important thing. And as I thought about this, I realized I tend to do this over and over again. And so this particular recording is primarily for me. Hopefully it will help you in this process, because my suspicion is this key part that I tend to leave out when I design a system for me is something that you may leave out when you design a system for you and your company. Okay, so let me tell you what that is. As you design this system, you've got this person doing this and this person doing that, and they pass it on to this other person, and it all comes out in this big, beautiful thing in the end. Make sure you're designing the tracking and the storage of that product that gets created right up front. So tracking and where stuff gets stored so that it becomes an asset to you. Because I'll tell you, just from this experience I had this week, if you don't do that right up front, you get all the pieces of the system working, because we're so focused on getting all those pieces and training each person to do what they need to do and the way they should do it and what it should look like. And this is, basically transferring your judgment into their heads. If you don't add in the storage and the tracking, you pretty much have a mess, because then you've got all these emails and Google things going back and forth in all these different places. And it takes, like, in my case, it's taken me a whole day just to consolidate it down to do what should have been done from the first moment when I started doing all this. So I'm so proud of what I've done, but I'm not really working right now. Okay? All right. So here's what happens when you don't design in where things are stored and how you track it, is you end up paying with no results because you lose things. And then finally you realize, oh, I paid for this, but it never got turned into that next step because I didn't have the tracking system that's saying it was available to go on to the next step. And so in the end, it didn't happen. Okay, so it's important to note here, your tracking and your storage system that you create doesn't have to be perfect. It can literally be a Google sheet that you then add columns on into as you go along, because you realize you need to track something you hadn't thought of at the beginning. And it will change this system. And eventually you'll probably hire a programmer to put together the tracking system better, or put together Zapier and it's a process, or whatever it is. But the key thing is, won't be perfect, and you're going to change, but make sure it's there right up front so that you know what you've got, where it is, you got the assets, and you can use them the way they need to be used. Okay, so I just gave you without telling you what I'm really doing, and that's just fine because I don't particularly want to tell everybody what I'm really doing quite yet on this. But what I wanted to do is just share a mistake I've been making so that hopefully I'll stop making it, and maybe you will too. What's been your issues with this creating system? Where do you fall apart when you create systems? Let me know in the comments. This is Don Crowther saying, just go do this stuff.